What's going on, guys? Bears with Knives here, and today I'm doing a Spyderco collection update in front of all of my glorious Spydercos. Now, I did a Spyderco collection video back a while ago, so I liked that video. I like showing off, collections of certain brands and stuff. And when I made that video, I had a decent amount of Spydercos, but I've gotten a lot more since then. I believe, I counted them, I believe on the table are 42 Spydercos, so I'm going to go through all of them and show them to you. Just a Spyderco collection update. Now, I'm doing this before 2020, so I'm recording this December 2019, so I'll probably do a Spyderco collection update of December 2020, so it'll be like an annual thing, and show all the new Spydercos I got, so got a lot of new ones here. I'm gonna do my best to show them all to you. And now, my tripod is significantly shorter than me, so I look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame right now. Trying to do this, and my back is gonna kill me after doing this, but it's for you guys, so I'll tough it out. So, if you ever just see me collapse and fall over the tripod, it's probably because my spine gave out. But yeah, let's just do this. So I don't really know. Whoops, bumped the tripod. That might happen a couple times. The legs of the tripod are huge. But I'll just do my best to try to show you guys everything. So let's just try to do this here. So the first one, god damn it, keep kicking the tripod. The first one here is the Spyderco Tenacious. One of Spyderco's budget line, made in China, HCR13 MOV steel. I think they're like 40 bucks. For a $40 knife, it's not bad. It used to be a lot better, but just with the budget knives they have nowadays, it's just not as good. But it's still a decent, budget knife. Spyderco does make some decent Chinese knives in their budget line. Just not like the bird knives. The bird knives are technically made by Spyderco, but I'm not a fan of bird knives. Never have been. They're just, the quality isn't great. But on these, the quality are actually decent. So, Spyderco Tenacious, right here. And then over here is the Spyderco Efficient, another of the Chinese line. I actually prefer this over the Tenacious. So there you go. It's pretty good ergonomically. Again, HCR13 MOV steel. Like $40, but I just prefer this over the Tenacious. It's a little more compact in the pocket because it doesn't stick out as far as the Tenacious. It's not as wide, so I like the Efficient overall a little more. And it's a little thinner behind the edge and things like that, so it's just better in my opinion. So there we go. Now once I show a knife, I'm gonna remove it from the table, so just let you know. Then over here is the Spyderco Insistant. This is another budget line. This is the another Spyderco Chinese line. I said that already. I don't know why I said it again. But it's very much the Efficient, just shrunken down into like the size of a Dragonfly almost. It's a little bigger than the Dragonfly though. But I had a lot of high hopes for this. This knife was on pre-order forever and ever and ever. But once it just came out, I wasn't super impressed with it. It's way thicker than I thought it would be. In terms of stock, it's a lot heavier than I thought. So it's just not as good as I wanted it to be. So Spyderco Insistent. Next up here is the Spyderco Bug. Little tiny Spyderco. Ridiculously small. Little knife here, just little tiny slip joint, HCR13 MOV steel. You can put it on a necklace, you could do whatever you want with it, but it's just a really tiny little knife. So, Spyderco Bug. Next up is the Spyderco Clip-A-Tool. I've used this quite a bit. As you can see, it's got a lot of wear on it. And it's got another HCR13 MOV blade here. I did a review on this knife. Ergonomics aren't bad for the size of it, but they do have a little bit of issue with the scissors there. But this one does also come with scissors. There's a couple different versions of this knife, but this one has the scissors in it, and they're pretty decent scissors. So they're not a bad little pocket tool. to keep in your cup holder in your car or in your glove box or something. Decent little backup knife. The next up here are the Spyderco Ladybug and Manbug. These knives are very, very similar. Both VG10 steel. One is saber ground, one is full flat ground, but they're basically identical. I think the Manbug is slightly thicker in terms of the handle. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but the Manbug just has slightly better ergonomics than the Ladybug, in my opinion. The Manbug just gives you a little bit more in the hand, and I think the stock is thicker on the Manbug as well. So there you go. Both super affordable knives. VG10 steel, like I said, they're just not, what am I trying to say here? They're not bad options, is what I'm trying to say. If you just want a really small, little, reliable, budget knife with a okay steel for the price, these aren't a bad way to go. Next up here is the Spyderco Dog Tag. This is a Serge Panchenko design. It is made in Taichung, Taiwan, and it is S30V steel. It's chisel ground. I used to carry this knife a lot. I like it because it's very legal. It's a super small blade. It's a slip joint, so you'll have no problem carrying this anywhere. So I like that. And then next up, I would say like the slightly more beefier version of the dog tag is the square head. Also made in Taichung, CTS BD1 steel, not as good of a steel, but also chisel ground. But you have a liner lock on this one, unlike the dog tag. It's also really, really thick, way thicker than the dog tag, so there you go. But, not a bad little knife here, but I prefer the dog tag over the square head, so there you go. It's FRN on the back as well, so there you go. These are the Spyderco Spin. I have 3 of them right here. So, there you go, Spyderco Spins. And they have the blue Nasigen handle, and it's really nice looking. I don't have a lot of light, but it is very nice and light. You got a little tiny Warrenclyffe blade here, VG10 steel. I like the look of this knife. The little Warrenclyffe blade and the blue Nasigen. But the ergonomics on it suck, which is not something you hear about a Spyderco very often, but just that point right there just digs right into the finger, and it's so ridiculously uncomfortable, so there you go. But one thing to mention is these are one of the few Spydercos that come with a sharpening choil. That was not secondary market or anything, that's just how it comes, which is interesting, so there you go, 3 Spyderco Spins. Next up here is the Spyderco Cricket. I like this knife, actually. It's just really unique in the design. VG10 steel. It's got that reverse S-blade shape. Super thin and very lightweight, all stainless steel. But it's just a super unique design, and I really like it. Ergonomics are good on it, so I like it. Spyderco Cricket. Next up here is the Spyderco Kiwi. It's a slip joint right here. This is another one of Spyderco's more budget line. This one is discontinued. HCR13 MOV steel. Got another little Warrenclyffe blade on here. So there you go. All stainless steel. I stabbed myself with it, but all stainless steel. It's got a very, very strong spring on it, which is nice. Ergonomically, it's very good, very comfortable. So it's nice, and I really do like this design, and I'm kind of sad that it's discontinued, but what can you do? Spyderco Kiwi 3. So now I have all of the Dragonflies over here. I have a couple different versions of the Dragonfly. Let's see here. This one is a ZDP 189 steel, which is a really nice steel in terms of edge retention. The Dragonfly is a great knife. It's super thin, cuts amazingly well, great ergonomics for the size. Spyderco wire clip carries really nicely. The Spyderco Dragonfly is just a fantastic knife in whatever version you get. But that's ZDP 189 here. And then you have the Dragonfly in VG10 and Emerson Wave with a Scandi grind instead of a full flat. There you go. Then you have the Dragonfly in H1, which H1 is basically rust-proof steel. So this is great if you're taking a vacation or anything like that. But the downside to H1 is it doesn't have very good edge retention, so what can you do but Spyderco Dragonfly in H1. And then I have one more, which is the Spyderco Dragonfly in VG10 and full serrated. So it's the same as every other one, just fully serrated. Next up here is the Spyderco Urban. Not a bad little slip joint option. It's got N690 CO steel, which isn't the best steel, but, you know, what can you do? I think this knife is like 50 bucks or something, and it's got the wire clip on there. I think this is actually made in Italy. Yep. Not many Spydercos are made in Italy, but it's got good ergonomics for slip joint. It also has a half stop right there, which is nice, and it has that forward choil, so this knife is not going to close on you. So, not a bad slip joint option if you need one. Next up here is the Spyderco Chaperone lightweight in CTS XHP steel. This is an incredible Spyderco. I love it so much I had it engraved BWK, which is my channel name, Bears with Knives. And it's made in Taichung, Taiwan. But this is just a fantastic knife. It kills the Delica, which is coming up in a minute, but this knife is just incredible. It beats just about every other Spyderco under $100. With that steel, it's ridiculously thin and slicey. It's amazing. Ergonomics are great. Carries well, super thin, lightweight, wire clip. Fantastic knife. Cannot recommend it enough. Next up, here's the Spyderco Native. Spyderco Native is a really nice knife. It's got fantastic ergonomics. This is under 100 bucks. It's got S30V steel right there. Really nice tool. It's just solid. It's a lockback. Great ergonomics. Good slicing blade. You know, this knife will never fail you. So if you're just looking for a really nice tool under 100 bucks, the Native is a great place to go. It's a really nice knife. Spyderco Native lightweight. So next up here I have the 3 versions of the Delica. This is just a regular Delica with VG10 steel. On there, just a standard Delica. And then I have one in ZDP 189 right here, just like the Dragonfly. So it's got nice edge retention. And then I have a Delica with custom scales. These are custom G10 scales right here, and a sharpening choil in there, so nice custom Delica. You know, the Delica used to be a really nice knife, but just with the options you have now, it's just not as good. You know, you have lots of really nice options from other brands, and you also have things, you know, like the Spyderco Chaperone lightweight. So the Delica is just not as good in my opinion. Next up here, you have the Spyderco Stretch Sprint Run. This one just came out not too long ago. Now, the normal Stretch has like a drop point blade, and I'm not a big fan of it, but this one, this Sprint Run, has a straight back spine blade. So like your paramilitary 2 or things like that. VG10 steel. It's also a Sprint Run with this ivory colored handle right here, ivory colored FRN. It's really nice. The Stretch has really good ergonomics, but I just really love the overall look of the knife. The ivory handles with the satin hardware and the straight back spine. This is a sexy knife. I love this. Sprint Run though, unfortunately, so there's not many of them. Next up is the Spyderco Mannix. Really nice knife. S30V steel right there. If my camera would focus. S30V steel. I think this is like the tactical version with the black coated blade and black G10. But really nice knife. Really thin for the size of it. Cuts really well. Just, again, a really nice tool. And that's what Spyderco is good at making, is tools. And this is a fantastic tool. It's got the ball bearing lock as well, so super strong lock, made in USA. And there's also a Spyderco Mannix lightweight that is a little more affordable, but even the regular Mannix is not all that expensive, so really nice knife. Next up here is the Spyderco Coendura. This is basically, it's exactly the same as the Delica, just elongated. So, imagine a Delica and someone just, stretched it out. So, not all that much to talk about with this one. Also, VG10 steel. So, there you go. And then this is a customized Endura with custom red, white, and blue G10 scales right there. So, nice little customization right there. Next up, I have the Para 3 in Blurple and S110V steel. The Para 3 is a really nice knife. If you like a paramilitary 2, but just smaller, it's a really nice knife. Especially the one in S110V. It's going to hold an edge forever, and I like the Blurple handles a lot. I like that color, so nice knife right there. Compression lock also, by the way, so super nice. So this is just the larger version of the Para 3, the Paramilitary 2. Really, really nice knife. Once again, a fantastic tool. The stock is pretty thick. It's got a good steel on it. So it's a very good hard use knife. Super, super comfortable ergonomically. Compression lock. Super fun. For the size and how thick it is, it still cuts pretty damn good. So, fantastic knife in the PM2. Love it. So then I just have a customized version of that with a custom acid wash blade and like yellow G10 handles. So there you go. Many versions of the PM2 you can get as well. So next up here is the Spyderco Smock. Really interesting knife here. I don't remember the designer's full name, but it's something Smock. There's this maker's mark right there, made in Taichung, Taiwan. And it's a compression lock, but not in the normal sense. You use this button to compress the lock in there. So you can see that. So you push this button, and it compresses the lock. So, interesting. You got a really weird flipper tab here, but it's very smooth. S30V steel. But really nice knife. I like it. It's very unique. It's not for everyone, but I'm personally a big fan of it, and I like it a lot. So, Spyderco Smock. Next up here is the Spyderco chaperone in step titanium. So you guys saw the chaperone before. This is just a more higher end version. It's the same steel, it's the same everything, it just has a fancy step titanium handle on it. So there you go. Still a really, really nice knife. Then next up here is the Spyderco Mantra 1 and Mantra 2. The Mantra 1 is basically a Delica on roids. It's got CPM M4 steel, which is really good at edge retention, but sucks at rust resistance. Titanium frame lock here, lock bar insert, wire clip, ball bearing flipper. So it's really nice, but unfortunately it's discontinued. I do like this knife a lot, but you can't get it anymore, which sucks. So then the Mantra 2 is a little different. It's the exact same in every other way, except the blade's a little different. Sorry, I messed up the flip there. So it's exactly the same. It's the same steel. It's the same, handle basically and everything. You just have a little bit of a different blade on there. So there you go. Next up here is the Spyderco Hanan. This was Spyderco's attempt at making a compression lock ball bearing flipper. Unfortunately, it did not go very well. The action is just not very good. The detent is super, super soft. There's almost no detent on this knife. The flipping action isn't that great unless you use wrist. And it's relatively small. And just like, it's so small and everything that the compression lock is a little awkward to use. S30V steel made in Taichung. And also, that recurve in the blade makes this a hell to sharpen. So, overall, I like what they went for, but it just didn't work out that well. I also think this is a Brad Southard design, by the way. Next up, here's the Spyderco Advocate. They just discontinued this knife in 2019, which is unfortunate because I really, really like this knife. Orange peel, texture, titanium handles, frame lock, super nice polished edges. By far the best ball bearing flipper action I've had out of a Spyderco. It's incredible. Really nice, attractive blade here. M4 steel. Gale Bradley design. I'm gonna miss this knife a lot. I love this knife. So, it makes me sad that they discontinued it. So, there you go. Next up here is the Spyderco Myrtle. Titanium frame lock. This is a Philip DeLue design. It's got that crazy reverse S blade shape. S30V steel. Marbled carbon fiber on the handles. It's a really weird knife. But that's why I love it. A lot of people don't like the looks of this knife, but I like a lot of weird knives, and this is definitely one of them. But I like it. So, Spyderco Myrtle. Next up here is the Spyderco Mamba. This was a grail knife for me for many, many, many years. And then they discontinued it a couple years ago, so I bought it. It was like 320 bucks. S30V steel, huge trailing point blade, made in Taichung. Just ginormous blade, marbled carbon fiber handles, titanium liner lock. Just an absolute beast. Ball bearing flipper, Is this knife practical in any way? Would you carry this knife ever? No, but it was just one of those knives that when I saw it, I was really drawn to it, and I wanted one for years. But they discontinued it, and then I finally just bit the bullet, and it was a pretty big bullet, and I bought it. So it will remain in my collection forever. Spyderco Mamba. Next up here is the Spyderco Dodo. This was another grail knife for me that I was after for many, many years just because I love the design of it. It's just really unique. It's got the reverse S blade, S30V steel. This was a sprint run in carbon fiber, and it is also a factory second. You can tell that by the notch on the blade, but super, super hard to find, super unique knife. But I really like it. Just, there's just something about this knife that I've always liked, and just the treasure hunt of trying to get one and finally getting one. So I like it, and it will stay in my collection forever. Next up here is the Spyderco Bow River. This is another one of Spyderco's budget lines. This one is 8CR13 MOV. Right here, sorry, bumped the tripod. It's got a mirror polish blade on there. What is this? Layered black and gray G10 handles here. Super thin blade. It's a really nice fishing knife above anything else. Really nice for fishing. And it also comes in this leather sheath, by the way, for like 30 bucks. Really nice water molded leather sheath right there. So nice for the price. And then my favorite fixed blade in my entire fixed blade collection, the Spyderco Waterway. It's a Lance Clinton design back there, made in the USA. It's got LC200N steel, which is basically rust-proof, like H1, but has much better edge retention. It's got a really nice neutral handle that is very, very comfortable. And just, it's a fixed blade, but it's still relatively thin. So slices really well. Just fantastic, fantastic fixed blade. So that is my Spyderco knife collection update. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm kind of glad it's over, because I think my spine is literally about to snap in half. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time.